Well, today we're going to talk about the foods that we ate in Africa. We ate all of the native foods that we could possibly eat because to order food from the United States was pretty expensive, and we didn't like to do that unless we had to. So one of our mainstays was called banganju. Now that's made with manioc, and if you buy, if you go to the grocery store to buy tapioca, you'll look carefully and you'll see that it has some manioc in it. Well, there are two kinds of manioc, sweet and a sour. We ate the sweet, but there was a lot more sour than there was sweet. So they would take the sour and put it in the running water for several days, and that would cleanse it. And then you would, the cook, or who's ever doing it this day, would pound the leaves from the manioc into a pulp and add a little bit of palm oil, and you had a delicious meal. And one reason it was so good is because they had ground hot peppers in the pestle and with a pestle and mortar before they ground the leaves, and so you had that little bitty spice. Well, that was what we ate a lot of. Now, we would take the root of the manioc and do various other things with it, but mostly we liked the leaves to make that into our main dish. We ate lots of rice. We ate lots of fish, a lot more than I ever thought about eating. But now, we could get the little fish if the people were selling them at the market, or we get the good pieces of fish when the fishermen had caught them. One was called an ntula, N-T-U-L-A, and that is an electric fish. They were very careful in catching that. And then another one that we liked, and I mentioned it before, was crocodile. Now, crocodile is like the white meat of a chicken, and you have to cook it a long, long time. So we would pressure it until it was good and tender, and then after that we would decide what to do, which usually was to slice it thin and fry it crisp. And we had a tree, we call it a pain-sur-terre, which means the pear apple. Now, they weren't good just to eat, but they were really good for cooking. They made good pies, and one of the other things that they really made good was a sauce. And you could use a little imagination, and you could make it be rhubarb, or you could make it be applesauce. It just depended on the kind of spices you put in it and what you really wanted. But we put that on the crocodile, and that was very, very good. Now, the other fish, the big fish that we would get, was we had to bake it in the oven because it was humongous. And the piece we would get, the fishermen kept close tabs on whose turn it was to get fish, but the piece we would get would be big enough that we would need to bake it in the oven. Now, we ordered a lot of foods from the United States because it was cheaper than to try to buy them there. We had a village about 75 kilometers from us where we could buy lots of things, but it was just too expensive. Every once in a while, we'd splurge and buy a couple of potatoes because that was just really a delicacy. But one day, we got our catalog from Nabisco Company. And so there were 4 families. We sat down and we made out an order, and we didn't quite have enough for free shipping. Well, we were known to be a little on the chintzy side, if at all possible, and so we were trying to find something in the book that would make out our order and get us free shipping. And somebody said, here's some ice cream cones that's with just the right amount. And so we did. Well, I'm sure whoever filled that order in the States thought these must be crazy people in Africa who are ordering 5,000 ice cream cones. And we thought we were crazy when we started unloading them at the boat. Now, what do you do when you don't have any ice cream except a little bit you can make in a refrigerator? But I tell you what, we always had a way. We had a stock of bananas. We bought them by the stalk. We never came back to this country and had to buy 2 or 3 at a time and couldn't make a decision because we were used to just going and getting them off the stalk. And so what we discovered that we could do and make the children happy was to have banana ice cream parties. So we would take an ice cream cone and a banana. Sometimes we would just cut the banana in half and put the 2 halves in the cone. Sometimes we would mash it up a little. Sometimes we put a little chocolate syrup over it. But they were all just, it was good. And it was fun because you could have all the parties you wanted to have and it wasn't costing you a thing. You'd already paid for the bananas and for the ice cream cones, so you could just have a party anytime you wanted to have a party. Well, I did a lot of baking also because we Americans, you know, we got to have certain American foods. And so one day I decided I would make donuts. And I made the donut batter and it didn't rise. And so I made it again. And by the time the second batter had risen to the proper place to use it, the first batter had. And so my back door was known as the place where you go to get donuts because we had donuts running out our ears and the people just loved them. The African people would just line up at the door. And so we had all kinds of foods and all kinds of ways to fix them. But I have to tell you, the crocodile was pretty good. Thank you.